Okay, today I'm going to go over pretty much what I have on page 36 and 37. And here I have all the scale degrees, but on these two pages I just have pretty much the major scales chords for the first, fourth, and the fifth. So we're just going to go through that. So with in the key of C, you have three major chords. You have the C major, the F major, and the G major. On page 36, under that I had the exact notes that are on there, so if you don't have it down yet, you don't have to stress it, it's already there for you. Alright, so pretty much we're going to just go through that, and I'm going to add the chord inversions to that. Okay, so let's just go through that really quick. So remember, we're using in the key of C, so it's just these 7 notes, which is the white notes. So remember, a C chord is going to be C, E, and G. Okay, so that's considered the first. Now we're going to use the fourth, which is the F major. Okay, so this is 1, which is a C major. 1, 2, 3, 4, it's F, which is the F major. So remember, it's going to be these 3 chords. So you got the F, the A, and the C. Okay, next thing we're going to use is the fifth. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gives you the G. The G major scale is G, B, and D. Okay, so when you're looking at the scale degrees, you'll see that the first note within that scale is the tonic. Then you go to the fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the subdominant, and 5 is the dominant. Okay, that's why usually it doesn't matter what scale degree you have, those 3 will be the most likely used, and they're the simplest chords to use to make any type of chant. So remember, C major is 1, the F major is 4, and the G major is 5. Okay, so if I was to pick, of course, any other key, if I picked over here, which is the E, what would that be? So you go 1, 2, 3. So if you look under it, it's the median. Okay, so if I use the notes with her in this scale, I can't have an E major, because an E major would have a black note. So if I use the proper notes within that scale, this gives me an E minor. So if you're looking at the scale degrees, you'll see if you count 1, 2, that's supertonic, this would be a minor. If you go 3, which is the E, this is a minor. Then of course F major, G major, then it's A minor, because it has these 3 chords. And A major would obviously have the black, but since it's of course in this scale, you can't use that. Okay, so since we have that, let's go into inversions to make this smoother playing. A piano is different, you could jump around. With a harmonium, that's sounds pretty bad, so you're not going to go. So you have to find inversions. What's an inversion? Let's start all the way down here. This is a C chord. Now to invert that, you use the same notes, you're just hopping up to the next one. So you still have the same 2 notes, and now you're using the C from this octave. Now you want to invert that, use the E, and you're still holding down. Then you get back to the original, moving it up. So those are all inversions for the C chord. One thing that I found that's pretty useful and pretty cool is if I want to just bring this one note all the way down here, right, you'll see anytime you're doing any inversion from the tonic or the root note, there's always going to be 2 keys behind it, right? See, you notice that? two keys are behind, this is still a C major. Now if I want to bring that down again, so if you ever look behind the tonic note, there's always going to be two white keys for the inversion within the C major. Okay, so now you're going to notice that with the other things. So here it's normal spot. Now for the F chord, you want to bring it down so it makes it playing smoother. So you can take this C and you're going to place it over here. Now if you look at the F major, what's behind it? You have two blank keys, two white keys right behind it, so you know that's right. So after a while, once you know the fingering, you'll see that that falls in place everywhere. So this will make this from transition from the C major to the F major more easy. Okay. Now we're going to go from here. If we're going to try to bring now the G major down, bring that down a spot. Let's see how that works. Okay, so C to G. Let's go C, F, and G. C, inversion for F. Now G. That works, right? So from here you took that D and you brought it down here. If you look at that, once you start to invert the G, what's behind it? Two blanks before you get this. So when you take the last note and you bring it over, you're always going to notice that's going to be two spaces here. Now, to make the playing a little bit easier, let's invert it one more time. So let's take this B and put it over here. So I'm going to hold these two and then bring this here. So it's G, B, and D, just inverting it. So this should bring all the keys closer together. So if I hold down this note here, this will make it easier for me to go from the G major to the C major. Okay, so if you notice, once I go inverted, you got those two right behind that note, which is the G major. Okay, so let's go from C major, F major to G major. So we'll go C, F, C, G. Okay. We could even change that around. We could go C, G, C, F, C. Okay, so. So let's try going C, F, G, F, C. Okay, now we'll try C, G, C, F. See, so the thing is, once you know your chords, you want to start to invert them just to put them in a closer proximity so it's easier to transition as you're playing, especially when you're chanting. You don't want to be staring at the keyboard trying to know where to go. You want your fingers will start to know where to go just by repeating it over and over, where you can get really deeply into your kirtan or your chanting and not have to worry about where your hands are going to be because everything will be closer together. Plus with the harmonium, you always want constant airflow, so when you're switching, you're always holding one note. As you to switch, or at least they're going to be closer together, so there's not going to be a big jump. So this will make your playing a lot smoother, and this will help you transition through chords to help with your melodies. Okay, hope this helped. J Ma.